making it look, feel, and play just like the real thing. Making artificial turf is a little like growing real grass. The plastic pellets are the seeds. They get melted and stretched into the long plastic strands that make up the individual blades of grass in the artificial turf. They use a mix of white and green pellets. Both are made from the same polyethylene plastic, and the green ones add the color. Polyethylene is the most common plastic in the world. It's strong, durable, and soft, so it's perfect for fake grass. To turn the pellets into long blades of grass, they're mixed and melted together in a hopper. So the molten plastic can be pumped through 160 tiny holes, or dies, inside an injection molding machine. Long, thin strands of green plastic shoot out of each hole and immediately drop into a pool of cool water that hardens the plastic so the strands hold their shape. After the plastic sets, the strands are pulled through an oven that heats them to 200 degrees, just enough to soften the plastic without melting it. As the strands come out of the oven, they're stretched and wound up on rollers while they're still warm. Heating and stretching the plastic like this makes it more elastic, like a rubber band. So the turf can spring back after being stepped on, just like real grass. The plastic is allowed to cool again before each strand is wound off the stretchers and onto a bobbin. When it's full, each bobbin holds one blade of grass that's 54 yards long. But grass doesn't grow in long individual strands. It actually grows in clusters of many blades that form clumps. To give the finished turf a more natural clump-like feel, 6 of the green plastic strands feed into a twisting machine to be twisted into a single thicker thread. Later, when the turf is assembled, the thick thread will be looped into the turf and then cut, freeing the strands to pop up into 12 individual blades with the look and feel of a real grass clump. If the turf is for a neighborhood ball field, like those used for Little League play, the strands can be made even more realistic by crimping the plastic threads before they're woven into the turf. Crimping puts a little crinkle in the plastic, so the fake grass looks and feels a bit worn down, like the grass you'd find on a busy neighborhood ball field. To create the crinkles, the strands are heated on metal rollers just enough to soften them up. Then, they're pulled between 2 steel crimping wheels with teeth that press the strands between them, sort of like interlocking gears. The machine is stopped here, so you can see the teeth. At full speed, the machine crimps 164 yards a minute, or the length of nearly 2 football fields. The strands for turf in professional sports stadiums skip the crimping and are woven into the turf smooth, so the finished field looks more groomed. But whether the strands are smooth or crimped, it takes a huge sewing machine and 200 rapidly moving steel needles to weave together the turf. It looks a lot like sewing together a huge piece of upside-down sod. A waterproof plastic backing takes the place of the soil, and the needles move in a zigzag pattern to loop the fake grass through the backing to stitch it into place. We asked them to stop the machine so you can see the pattern. The zigzagging is done to replicate the uneven growth patterns of naturally growing grass. Once the plastic threads are looped through the backing, they're grabbed by hooks on the other side, so the loops can be cut into 12 individual blades. The machine works fast enough to make 109 yards of turf every hour, or more than the length of a football field. When all of the fake grass is stitched in and cut, the turf passes over a roller that's coated in a strong latex-based glue. The glue is absorbed by the backing and cured in an oven at 390 degrees to hold every little blade in place. turf comes out of the oven and passes under another roller with heated spikes. The spikes poke holes into the waterproof backing. They're for drainage, so the plastic backing won't cause a flood. Workers inspect the turf for bald spots and other flaws as it rolls out of the spiker. If it looks and feels good, the turf goes on to the cleat test. Rollers studded with actual football cleats roll back and forth over samples of the turf, like teams running up and down the field during a football game. After 100,000 cycles, the turf is checked. If it still looks and feels like fresh green grass, the turf is ready to take the field.